going to tackle cell communication. Cell communication is basically how cells communicate with each other to get a specific response. To start, let's go over the specifics of how cells communicate.
Reception is the first stage in a signal transduction pathway. A signaling cell will send a ligand to a certain receptor of a target cell. A ligand will cause the receptor protein to change shape when it binds to the receptor and will start a signal transduction pathway. The ligand is considered to be the first messenger, and it never enters the cell. Transduction is the second stage and is when the signal is converted to a form that can bring about a specific cellular response and occurs in multiple steps using relay molecules such as CAMP and calcium ions, which are secondary messengers of the initial message. A phosphorylation cascade takes place where protein kinases activate each other and in a pathway that will amplify the signal. The third and final stage is response, which is when the transduced signal triggers a specific cellular response. The response stage typically manipulates the transcription factors of the DNA of a cell to influence the genes being transcribed for protein synthesis. The response could also be regulating protein activity.
To understand cell communication more clearly, let's model cell communication using characters from The Office. The signaling cell would be David Wallace, the CEO of Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, and he would send the message to the target cell, the Scranton branch, regarding a new client. The message is considered the ligand. Pam is the receptor, and she receives the message, or ligand, from David Wallace, the signaling cell. When Pam receives the message, she is activated and can begin her signal transduction pathway. The message Pam passes on to the staff members is considered a secondary message because it is not the original message. Instead, it is more specific so as to elicit a specific response. Pam sends the message first to Dwight Schrute. Dwight is activated and willingly takes on the new client and must send the message to activate Meredith, who will work with the paper quality. Meredith then passes the information on to Kelly so she can make sure to call and welcome the new client. The message is then passed on to accounting, who will make sure all the numbers add up with the new client. The message is finally signed off by the regional manager, Michael Scott. As the message about the new client cascades from one team member to another, the signal is amplified as more information is put together to get the new client their paper and make the response a success. The final phase of this Dunder Mifflin signaling process is when the message reaches the warehouse worker, Daryl, who acts as a transcription factor to alter the transcription of the warehouse genes to elicit a response, which in this case would be sending paper to the new client. There are 4 types of cell communication: autocrine, juxtacrine, paracrine, and endocrine. Autocrine is no distance communication and would be like Kevin Malone sending a message to himself. That's autocrine cell communication. Juxtacrine is no distance cell communication and would be like Kevin Malone sending another signal right to Angela sitting right next to him. This is juxtacrine because they're very close to each other. Paracrine is a form of short distance communication and would be like Kevin Malone sending a message to Phyllis, who's a little further away, but still in like the same vicinity. And the final form of cell communication is endocrine. And endocrine is a form of really, really long distance cell communication and would be like Kevin Malone sending a message all the way to Jan Levinson. The office is a perfect model for cell signaling and cell communication. It shows how without communication, cells will fall apart and nothing will get done. The same is true for all living organisms. If cells fail to communicate in living organisms, then the organism will fail to thrive. Thank you so much for watching and good luck on the AP exam.